most recently, and I mean most recently by beginning 2016, is that all the big players actually jumped on this technology, on this bandwagon. So starting from the first one in 2016, Microsoft released HoloLens, augmented reality glasses. And then in 2017, Facebook released AR Studio, where you can create all the AR experiences for their photo app on the mobile phone, so you can add stuff to your face. And Facebook also announced that they are working on their AR glasses. Then in 2017, Apple released AR Kit, the framework for their phones and tablets that you can create augmented reality experiences with. And when they were releasing releasing AR Kit, they said that at this point iOS is the largest AR platform in the world. And that was actually true, because all of a sudden when they released AR Kit, millions of people in the world started to have augmented reality ready device in their pockets. So that was true. And also this AR experience was strictly targeted to consumers actually. So this was something new. And then in 2018, Google released well, they started with Google Glasses, but that was a long time ago and different story. But then in 2018, they released, Google released OurCore for Android devices. This is a framework similar to ARKit, what Apple did with iOS. Google has their own version of it for Android phones. And when I woke up this morning, I actually read some news that Huawei announced that they're going to release some AR glasses pretty soon as well. So as we can see, the hype is getting really, really big. And if those giants, tech giants, are investing in it, that probably means something, right? Also, if you do a quick search on the internet for AR glasses or AR system vendors, you could probably find around 180, maybe 80, 100 vendors that are in the world that are right now producing some AR systems, like all sorts of them, like specialized for surgeries or specialized for jet pilots, or regular ones like HoloLens or other specialized ones. There are also some Googles for consumers, but really targeted to some specific needs, like, for example, Garmin, the company that produces GPSs and trackers for sport people. They, for example, released AR glasses for bike riders, that you can wear it, you can attach it to your regular glasses, and you can have all the speed information and navigation right in front of your eye. So this is actually happening. And why should we care as developers? Because we are developers, and the change, this change that is going to happen, it's kind of, we're going to be a part of it, right? Because we are creators. So my point here is that if it's possible for us, we should start trying this technology however we can, because the opportunities are huge. And in different fields, like we can do exciting stuff, we can have opportunities for businesses as well. There are lots of startups that are actually being created right now in the field of AR strictly. So that's why we should. And let's go through a brief history of augmented reality. This is, by the way, Dennis Gabor, the inventor of holograms. So let's quickly go through the timeline. So it all started around 150 years ago with Pepper's Ghost. This is like the very first augmented reality experience ever. In 1862. This experience was, it's called Pepper's Ghost by the name of inventor. I don't know if it's, you can see it clearly, but this is a stage in some kind of theater, and there's an actor on the stage, and there is an actor just below the stage, and there is a huge piece of glass here, and when you lit with a light the person below the stage, the ghost of this person would appear on the stage, right, the real actor. And, well, as easy as that, but it worked, right? Then, during Second World War, the Havilland company, they created the very first HUD, heads-up display, for their plane, where they were streaming some radar information right in front of the pilot's eye. Then in 1950, the teleprompter was created. Very first teleprompter was created by Hubert Schlafly, and you know what teleprompter is, right? You can look in front of the camera, just look straight to the camera and just read the text. And this concept is known until nowadays. And then in '61, a company called Philco created their headset called Headsight. This wasn't AR headset per se, but they invented the very cool technology, meaning the tracking of the head. So they were able to track the head movement, etc., that we know until nowadays. And then in '67, Tom Furness, which is a grandfather of augmented reality, he started working for US Army Air Force, and he's the person that was working on the very first helmets for jet fighter pilots with augmented reality vision. And then in '68, Ivan Sutherland created the very first AR experience where he could display 3D content in front of his eyes. And the glasses were called the Sword of Damocles, and it looked like this. It was tethered. You had to be connected to something. You looked funny, but it was able to track the head, display a 3D cube. That was all that he displayed. You will see the cube in a second. Something like that. I don't know if you can see the cube, but this is the only edges. Yeah, that was '68. Then in 1980, Steve Mann created his prototype of iTap. This was as simple as the camera in front of your eye and the display right back at the camera that was displaying whatever the camera saw at the height of eye, and then he was overlaying that display with some digital content. Then Sony introduced their AR glasses, which was called Sony Glastron. This was more of the VR headset because it wasn't. You could play VR games on it, like MechWarrior 2, and the thing here was that they used displays that were transparent. So you were in the game, but you weren't that cut off from the environment. So you actually saw through these glasses your surroundings. And then in 1980, the very first famous yellow line was drawn on the field during the NFL game. So we know that from nowadays as well. The sport television, they use that a lot, like augmenting the view from the camera. So in '98, it was used for the very first time. Then in '99, AR Toolkit was released at the SIGGRAPH conference. And this is the most famous AR toolkit for creating AR experiences for mobile phones. Then, year 2000, AR Quake. You probably know about Quake, right? So in 2000, the guys from US, I don't remember which university, they created an augmented reality version of Quake. It was a computer that you had to wear in your backpack and a funny gun, but it worked like this. So it was rendering Quake stuff around you, and you could shoot the demons and all the enemies. That's pretty cool, right? That's 18 years ago. Oh, not this guy. That's too long, I guess. There you go, there are enemies. It's not that bad, is it? And then in 2004, the very first mobile phone augmented reality experience was created with old Nokia phones, like in the pre-smartphone era. Then the last piece of the timeline, in 2009, Lego released the digital box, which was a stationary augmented reality experience. This was basically a big box with the screen and the camera, and when you approached it with a box of Lego set, it displayed a rendered set on top of it. As simple as that. In 2009, Qualcomm released the Vuforia toolkit, which is, I think, the second after AR toolkit for creating augmented reality experiences. It's being used until now as well. And believe me or not, in 2010, 8 years ago, Microsoft started Project Baraboo, which was the code name for HoloLens. They started it back then. And they released it in 2016. And then in 2011, Magic Leap, which is another cool headset available right now, they raised like huge amount of money for in investments for the headset that they announced back then as well. In 2011, Epson created their very first prototype of Epson Moverio glasses. And in 2011, Google Glass project was announced. So as we can see here that Microsoft actually started HoloLens project a long time ago. Given that we have all those kind of experiences, we can put all of that in some kind of taxonomy. This is nothing set in stone. This is just rough categorization. So all the augmented reality system could be divided in two groups, wearable and non-wearable, which is obvious. And then wearables can be divided into helmets, contacts, and headsets. Helmets are usually glasses that comes with the helmet, which covers your most of your head. And then contacts, well, we don't have any on the market yet, but surely there are companies that are working on it. And then headsets, like regular headsets, like glasses that you can put on your face. And then add-on glasses or integrated glasses. Integrated glasses are like HoloLens, for example, or Google Glasses. And add-on glasses are those that you attach to your regular glasses, as the Garmin one, as I mentioned before. Non-wearables are mobile, stationary, and HUD. Mobile is like all the experiences we have on our mobile phones or tablets. Stationary is like the Lego one. HUD is whatever is heads-up display, so whatever we have, whatever experience which is projected to our glass in front of us, like what jet pilots have in the jet fighters, or we could buy those retrofit HUDs for our car and just put it next to our windshield. So we ended the timeline on 2011. What happened then? What happened after 2011 and until now is what's called the first wave of augmented reality, which was basically as simple as, like, most of the augmented reality experiences were about tracking some kind of markers, which looked like QR codes. And all those systems worked pretty much the same. They detected the marker, they put some coordinate system on that marker, and based on that coordinate system, the user was able to render, the developer was able to render some 3D content on top of it. And it was widely used in many scenarios. It was very good for storytelling and learning. And I've been to one session at the conference in 2011, I guess, where a guy from NASA, Jeff Norris, who was responsible there for augmented reality experiences, he was doing a session with storytelling about Apollo 11 mission, and he had all the pieces of the rocket, of the Saturn V rocket, and the lander and the command module. All the pieces were had one marker assigned, as I would say, and he was only playing with the markers in front of the camera, and he was explaining the whole mission from the start till the landing on the moon, which was pretty exciting back then. But then the world moved forward, and we have the second wave of augmented reality experiences. And the second wave is all about the context. So all the new devices, new technologies that are appearing right now, they are all about the context, meaning that the devices or systems, they know our environment better. They can scan the environment. They can detect things in the environment. We can get rid of all the markers because our devices can now place things around us without having like a visual marker anywhere around. And that unlocks lots of different possibilities. We also have artificial intelligence there as well, meaning that we can detect objects, we can detect faces, etc., etc. So this is what it's all about right now. And also, the other thing is that the new wave of augmented reality is also about sharing. Up until now, every augmented reality experience was only single user based. So whenever you used your augmented reality device, the content was only for you. You weren't able to share it. Well, you could have another user looking on your screen, but you weren't able to connect with somebody else and play the same game or use the same application which was AR enabled. But right now, many systems allows for that. So here's, for example, a picture from WWDC from this year, I think, where two users playing one game. It's a multiplayer game that you can play on an empty table, just having tablets, and we can see like a spectator right on the right that he's only looking at the table and how the game looks like, and also there's a concept of AR cloud, which means there are several companies working right now on the concept of creating an AR cloud, which is basically about mapping the whole world and creating the data point cloud that you could then utilize to place virtual stuff around the world. So imagine, for example, that we use some kind of application and I'm here, I left something in this room or right in front of the building, and someone else will come here and like in a week and will run the very same application and he would see whatever I left there, etc. Just imagine what kind of possibilities are possible with this kind of concept. And it is actually happening. I know several companies, especially this one, I know the guys behind it, that are creating the map of the world for augmented reality. That's pretty exciting. They actually gamified it. When they released the very first version of the application for scanning the world, they did the contest. Whoever scanned the largest amount of places was winning or something like that. And yeah, I played with it for a while. So people were like scanning wherever they went, like airports or anything like that. They were just running around with HoloLenses on, just scanning whatever they could. Okay, so what kind of devices, experiences that we have right now that we could start using? First one, let me start for the one that was delivered first, is HoloLens. Do you know about HoloLens? I had a session here last year about HoloLens. I have the device with me today, so if anyone would like to try after the session, I'm happy to give you for a little while to play. This is augmented reality glasses from Microsoft, released in 2016. It was announced in 2015, actually. And, well, it's a self-contained computer with see-through optic vision so that you can see your world around and then put some 3D content in front of you. You can do multiplayer scenarios. You can scan the world. Well, it's mainly, well, it's only enterprise or industry focused or targeted because, well, it's too expensive. It's like $3,000 for a headset, for a dev kit actually. If you want to buy the regular one, it's $5,000. So you can't expect writing a game for this kind of headset and then sell it to kids because no kids can afford this kind of headset. But it's very good for all kind of industrial scenarios. And this is the thing I'm focusing for almost 2 years. And what I can say is that there's a lot of things to do. There are a lot of things to do in the industries right now with HoloLenses. And I know companies and startups that build their business solely based on HoloLenses, and they're selling products and they're enhancing some industrial processes with it. And also, well, you can do funny stuff. I don't know if it's too small. There's a GIF here on the bottom. The guy created a Portal game. You know the Portal game from Valve? He created the Portal game. That basically you open portals and play with physics. That's pretty cool, wearing the glasses. And, well, the big advantage here is that it's from Microsoft. And companies like enterprises, they love Microsoft. It's not like you can go, it's different than if you would go to a company as a consultant or a company owner or anything like that, trying to sell AR experience from some kind of unknown startup. If the product is from Microsoft, the chances are that someone would trust you more if you were selling this kind of product. I mean, you might like or not Microsoft, but the truth is that enterprises, they usually love Microsoft. So that's easier when you're trying to develop for this platform. The other platform is ARKit. ARKit is a framework for iOS, and this is something that you can use and try reach consumers. You can create games for kids or adults. You can create utility apps, or you can create also some apps for industrial purposes. And this is pretty powerful as well, because the funny thing here is that they use only the camera. They don't have any other like depth sensors or anything, any other fancy sensors that, for example, Hololens have. So they are only using cameras, and based on that, they're doing image processing and detecting like floors, walls, etc. And this is a pretty advanced framework. We can do multiplier things as well, so that games for multiple people. And what else? You have light estimation, for example, as well, so that you can detect the ambient light in your place and then apply accordingly to your scene. And it looks something like that. And that's one of the experiences. Just look how good it looks like, and look at the, for example, the light that you turn on, and you have this light going around. The other framework is OurCore, released by Google. It's well, it's very similar to ARKit. I mean, the differences are really slight, and also it's targeted to Android phones, and you can build stuff for consumers and industrial users as well. And they have one funny thing here, that they have plugin for iOS, so you can create multiplayer games or apps, but also cross-platform multiplayer games and apps. So you can have users both on Android and iOS phones using the AR experience in the same place and time. And the very fresh thing released like in early October. Have you heard about Magic Leap? Like few people nodding. Yeah, so this is the headset released by the startup called Magic Leap. They started gathering money for that back in 2011, as I mentioned before, and they were pretty silent about this project for a long time, and all of a sudden they released it. And this is pretty cool because this headset is slightly better than HoloLens. So it has better field of view. It has eye tracking capability. It has 6 degrees of freedom controller. It's more lightweight because the computing power is here. So you don't have this weight on your hand on your head. And apart of that, it delivers a pretty similar experience that you can get with HoloLenses. So this is like a direct competitor to HoloLenses. And HoloLenses and Magic Leap are actually right now I think the most advanced AR system on the market, which you can start playing with right now. With Magic Leap, it runs on a Linux-based system called LuminOS. HoloLens runs on Windows 10, so this is the difference. For all the platforms, we can create stuff with Unity or Unreal Engine. So, and the toolkits are out there. I mean, you can download emulators and play with all the things that I mentioned, even without having a headset. And Magic Leap, well, they market it as a consumer device, but it's not much like that, I think, because the price is like slightly lower than HoloLenses. So I think we still have to wait. And I think the coolest thing is Leap Motion thing. I don't know if you remember Leap Motion, like from several years back when they released the small piece of sensor that you could attach to a computer via USB. and it detected your hand movements and fingers. Have you seen that? It was like several years back. So they created a headset. I mean, it's not a real headset, it's a prototype. They're not selling it. But the cool thing is that they released it as open source. So we can go to GitHub and download all the instructions and just print all the pieces and program it. And to give you an idea how it looks like, because they did pretty cool stuff with it. Just Google for their videos. This is one of it, what they did. It's like no other system can do that, because their tracking capabilities of hands is phenomenal. There are plenty of their videos out there. So this is like Iron Man stuff. Cool, isn't it? Yeah, this is the future. This is how our kids gonna cheat in school. Like they will have all the information. Like, okay, on the biology test. Okay, that will be it. Okay, and so with all that technology, we saw maybe consumer market is not there yet. Well, a part of OurCore and ARKit, we can create something for consumers, but definitely, based on my observation and experience, of course, and whatever I read on the internet and in the community, the industrial market is like 100% ready for it. What we have to do as developers, we have to be kind of evangelists for this technology, because, well, the business won't catch up like quickly. We have to like talk with businesses, and we as developers work with businesses that this technology is actually here. We can utilize it, we can use it, and we can see AR being used in all areas. I mean, military, architecture, construction, medical, manufacturing, field service, education, like you name it. We can just start creating the AR experience you like. So probably in the future we will have something like tricorder. Do you remember Star Trek? The tricorder was the thing for sensing the new environment, right? So with everything I mentioned at the beginning, that we will have all the senses augmented probably. So we will have the small and nice glasses that we could wear. We probably will have something like tricorder from Star Trek, but better probably. So let all the inventors, this is Steve Mann, by the way, he created Meta 2 headset. Let all the vendors and hardware creators work on their stuff and to deliver us proper headsets sooner than later. And we as developers, we can jump on the software side of it and just start creating stuff, because this is the time, in my opinion, and those are huge opportunities for us as developers. And for the very end, I would like to mention 3 books that are very good, in my opinion, when it comes to AR. I mean, state of AR right now. It's Augmented Human, Augmented Reality, and the Fourth Transformation. I mean, the knowledge there is pretty condensed, and it's, well, I based my talk mostly on those books and on my observations. So if you would like to know more, just grab them books and just read it. It's really worth reading if you're interested. And that's pretty much it, I guess. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer, or if you would like to try the Hololens headset after the talk, I'm also happy to share. That's it, thank you. Oh, you'd like to try it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I've seen this